Is Daf Yom Yerushalmi Demai. The article is another edition. We are on Daf Ayin Hey Amud Aleph, and we're up to Den Kedaite, the third line down in the Vilna. It's on Lama Gimel and Beis, and it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines down. So yesterday we said Reish Lakish says you have to make a Tanai. In other words, you have to specify what is going on. If what happens you didn't specify, that we're going to find out now. Rabbi Yochanan says you don't have to specify. What happens? We're going to find out now. Den Kedaite. The Spalgun. We have Machlekes. And here, all the Mefarshim really change the girsa to what it says in Meseches Trumos. Trumos Shnei Kirayim Bechad. You have two kreis. You want to make the Truma of both of them in one. You don't specify which one. You're saying one of them. So, Yerushalmi Demai says, since you don't have to specify, it works. How it works, we don't know. It didn't specify. So it's Meduma. You have Truma and Chulin mixed in both. Suffolk. But Shimon Lakish says, no. Since you have to specify, in this case, you didn't specify, it didn't take effect. So therefore, it's Tevo. Start over again. Okay, so the Mara says, I'm right, Cholkan Rebbe Elazar ben Aruch. You seem to argue Rebbe Elazar ben Aruch here. The Tani Meiser Tevo Shisar B'chulin. Meiser, if you have Meiser Tevo, which obviously Chumas Meiser not taken off, Shisar B'chulin, which got mixed up with Chulin, which is stuff which is completely fixed already. If you can get the proper amount from elsewhere, in other words, you have take Chumas Meiser off the Meiser from somewhere else, fine. But take it off according to the proper reckoning. What if not? You can't do it. Call the name for Chumas Meiser in it. And let it be nullified in one in 100, right? Because the Chumas Meiser, Chuma is batal 1 in 100, and here you have ample chulin, 100 chulin, to be about the one of Chumas Meiser. So neither of them have the say so here. They say you have to take, in our Mishnah, it says you have to take the 101, right? So on and so forth. So it seems that our Mishnah argues on Rebbe Elazar ben Aruch. And the Sol Shakvatari argues on Rebbe Elazar who says it could be batel. Not that necessarily, says they could be talking about here in our Mishnah things where they're not batel, such as a davar chashuv, something significant. Because a perech, rimone, badon, which are not batel, so therefore you can't use the eights of batel. Okay, fine, perhaps. But then we're asked, by Hillel ben Pazi boy Yifza. Let them break up if they're nuts. Let them break them up. If they're pomegranates, let them break them up. It's a davar chashuv until you break it up. Once you break it up, it should be batel. Why could you be in batel? Do that in batel. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Yoina, mutar liftoah? What? Are you allowed to do that? To presumably break the nuts in order there should be batel, or the pomegranates, whatever it is. We have a principle, ein vatlinis v'chatchila. Loken tnina nispat where it goes in. Only if they became broken on their own, l'shavar, the evet. But you can't go ahead and break them. That's a vatlinis v'chatchila. So therefore, that doesn't work. So it could well be that our Mishnah is talking about a case where you can't make a batel because it's some davar chashuv. Where it can't be batel because it's davar chashuv. Okay, period. Rabbi Yoina, the said, Kini mas nisin. This is the way to read our Mishnah. Kozman shetevel merubel amaiser. As long as it's more tevel. This is going on the next case in the Mishnah says, me tevel tishim maiser, tishim tevel, v'shmai maiser, lo yavsi klum. Say a cloud. Kozman shetevel merubel lo yavsi klum. As long as it's more tevel than maiser, you don't lose anything because the amount you have to take off is exactly the amount you have to take off. So the Gemara says, "Amrav Yonakim." He says, "Kozman shateva merubel meiser." As long as there's more teva on meiser lo hifsi klum. Meiser doesn't lose anything. So that seems unintelligible. Reb Chaim in the Gra. Says it also. No, I don't see it here. But in any event, Reb Chaim, the name of the Gra, says that the proper girsa is Kozman shema ruba al hamaiser eser. If there's more teva by 10 than there's meiser, then lo hifsiklum. They don't lose anything. And but if it's less than the 10, so then the share of meiser rishon of the teva is not sufficient in order to pater the meiser of the to pater the trumas meiser of the meiser. So the obviously you lose, such as if you have 100 tevel and 95 meiser, so you need 10 and a half for trumas meiser. But from the tevel, you can't take for the trumas. You can only take for trumas meiser 10. So therefore, you have to take um, uh, so therefore you have to take a half from the meiser. In order that you should definitely get a half, you have to take 100 and a half. Otherwise, you have the same problem you have at the beginning of the Mishnah. So in order to make sure that you get that extra half, then you have to take more. So it only works if it's 10 more, right? It's 10 more precisely. So then you have 100 of tevel, right? Which you have to have um, 10. You have to have tevel of meiser. So you have to take off. Sorry, wrong. It's you have 100 tevel and 90 meiser, right? So the tevel you need to take off one for chumas meiser, and for meiser need 9, right? For the chumas meiser and the meiser you need 9, right? So in the tevel you have to take off 1, and chumas meiser of the meiser you need to have 9. So you take 10, right? So no matter what, if you have meiser, it's fine, right? You can make a chumas meiser, and even if you have tevel, you have 10 meiser rishon, which you can make chumas meiser and everything, right? And so too, if you 90 tevel and 80 meiser, like I just said, you need 9 for chumas meiser, so you take 9. So even if you have tevel, you can still comes out to 9 meiser. That's only if there's a gap of 10. If the gap of less than 10, it's not going to work. You have to take off more in order to make sure that your dafka is taking off a gap of less than 10, right? I said a gap of less than. You have to take off more than the sum total of the 10. And 1 second, it's math, so I'm having difficulty here. If it's 10, you didn't lose anything because then you have the again, let's take 190, the Mishnah, right? So you need to take off 10 for Meiser Rishon from the tevel, and then you have to take off from that 1 of Chumas Meiser. Okay, and that's really what you have to give to the Kohen. And from the tevel, from the Meiser, you have to take off 9. So you don't lose any Zman of Shach. Works out, right? If you took off 10, so you're getting the 1 for Chumas Meiser, and from the tevel, and the 9 for Chumas Meiser for the Meiser. And since you can, it's fungible. In other words, you can take off from the tevel on the Meiser, and tevel, since therefore you don't lose anything. But if you have 100 of tevel and 95 of Meiser Rishon, so now you need a half more. 10 is not enough because you have to have 10 for the for 10.5 for 9.5. Sorry, 9.5 for the Trumas Meiser of the Meiser, and 1 for the Trumas Meiser of the Tevel, which is 10.5. So you can't take off 10. 10 is not sufficient, right? So therefore, you're gonna what do you have to do in order to make sure that that extra 0.5 is certainly something which become Trumas Meiser? You have to make sure that you take off 100.5. I think that's correct. Yeah, 100.5. In order that it should be um, that half of it, that you should have that half will be definitely from Meiser. It's got to be 100. You have to take 100.5 and keep going. You can charge it whatever is not relevant, but otherwise you're not going to be necessarily be able to give Trumas Meiser. Again, why not? Because if you have 195, then you really have to give 10.5 of this mixture, and you can maximum you can make of Trumas Meiser from the Meiser itself is 9.5, right? But you need 10.5. So how are you going to get? Okay, you can get up to 10, let's say, right? Because you have let's say you have 9.5, right, from the Trumas Meiser, Trumas Meiser from the Meiser, and then you need to have 1 more from the Tevel, because you reach the limit up with the Trumas Meiser from the Meiser. How are you going to get that? The only way you can get that is by making sure that you definitely have 1 more from the which comes from the Tevel Vadai. The only way it's going to happen is if you take off 100 and a half, right? Because once you got the 100 and a half, you took off. Not sure why it's 100 and a half. That's what's bothering me. Why is it 100 and a half and not 9.5 and a half? No, 9. Why is that? Right, because it's the other way around. Because if I take, I can take 10 from Meiser from the Tevel, right? 10 from the Meiser Tevel, and then I can make that all Trumas Meiser on both the Tevel and the Chulin, and the Tevel and the Meiser, the Tevel and the Meiser. But I still need an extra half. Now that half can't come from the Tevel. That half has to come from the Meiser. So how do I make sure taking half from the Meiser? Because I reached it up on Tevel. I'll even take the sum total of the Tevel, which is 100, and definitely past it. Then I can take the 0.5 from the Meiser. That's the only way it's going to work. Okay, good. We got it. So that's what it says. Cause machem ruba meiser eser, then loiv siklum. That's you haven't lost anything. Okay, so it's not. It says cause machem ruba meiser loiv siklum again, but it's cause machem ruba meiser eser loiv siklum. So now the Gemara comes with another interesting scenario. Rabbi Levanti b'shem Rabbeinu said, "Kol tevel donakayim halcha tevel rishon l'sheni." Let's go back to the Mishnah. Let's go back to the first case, the mei tevel mei chulin. So you have to take 101 and give it to the Kohen. So now, but there's another eitzah here. If the tevel is tevel both for Meiser and Rishon and Meiser Sheni, so then you can designate that the additional tevel. From that 100, you have to do the Kohen. You can designate some of this to your Meiser Sheni, and then the Kohen is stuck with it because he has to take up the Yerushalmi, right? Because you're giving it to him. Again, this is assuming it's Tevel for Meiser Sheni as well. Or there's another what Kohen is going to agree to do that? Maybe Kohen has Meiser Sheni has to take himself, but Charan Amar. The one of these two said, I say escape. The Rezan Kotel came home to Rishon Sheni. Vomer Spalgun Rebbe v'Rebbe Dustoi be Rabbi Yanai. Chanamar so Sheni l'mokam acher. the you can make it shane. You can make it shani for the um the on another place. I'm not sure why I have to make it another place. I can make it on itself. Mm, I can make a Meiser Shane itself. It's Meiser Shane itself, no? Oh, right. Not, yes, not, nine of it's going to be Meiser Shane itself. But you want to make the entire 100 Meiser Shani. The only way you can do that is by making it Meiser Shani on other tevel. So you can make a cheshbon and keep making Meiser Shani out of that the 101. You can make out of that 101 minus 9, whatever it is, 92, right? On the you keep making that Meiser Shani on elsewhere until you run out. That's a V'chanamar osa osa kula sheni l'makam acher. Um, no, that's the second shot. That's the Corona Amar. Osa kula sheni l'makam acher. Mafresh shoni alav rishon l'makam acher. Um, okay, so yeah, the options are like this. According to the first Mandamar, you can make 92 Meiser Sheni, but you still need to have um, um, no, you can't make 92. You can make 82 Meiser Sheni because you need to take off 10. 10 of the 101 is Meiser, and 10 of the 101 is. So we're talking about the case of 100 Tevel and 100 Chulin. So you need to have one is Trumas Meiser, right? And that's of 10, which are Meiser Rishon. And you have to have 9 of Meiser Sheni, right? So 19 of the 101, you have to, you well, 9 of that is Meiser Sheni. So 11 of the 10, sorry, of the 10 of the Tevel, you're making Meiser Rishon, right? And you lose those 10, which you're giving to the Kohen, right? Because you have no choice but to give to the Kohen. But I still don't understand why this is not why this is an issue. Okay, it seems all nafkamina is one. Okay, let's do it inside again. Figure it out now. Evomar espang Rabbi story by Rabbi Yana. Chadamar also says sheni l'makamacher. You can make 100 sheni for makamacher, right? But the one you have to give the coin no matter what, right? The Chubas Meiser. Charanamar, the other said, and since that actually you have to give one Chumas Meiser to the Kohen, so therefore you actually end up going in 101. But you can make 90 of 100 of those Meisers Shani. But you have to give 101 to the Kohen because one of them, which you don't know which, is Chumas Meiser. And you have to find a Kohen who's going to take up to Yerushalmi for you. It's a problem. The other man says, no, I got an answer for you. Take another batch of tevel and uh, um, and take off from there Meiser Rishon and Trumas Meiser for this batch, and then you can make the whole thing Meiser Sheni on the two batches together. So those 100, you don't take off an extra one, which you then have to give the Kohen. It makes you have to give the Kohen all 101. No, you take off the extra one from somewhere else, and that's what you give the Kohen. And all of this stuff which you have left here, you can make it's still tevel to Meiser Sheni, right? So you can make, and you don't know which part of it's going to be Meiser Sheni though, because which part is because you have everything is mixed together. So but you designate those 100 as Meiser Sheni on other places over time until I get up to that 100 being completed Meiser Sheni, and then you keep it yourself and bring it up to Yerushalayim. So according to the first Eitzah, where you have to give a whole 101 to the Kohen. Because one of them is Trumas Meiser, you don't know which one. You can make the rest of Meiser Sheni, but you still have to give it to the Kohen. According to the second Eitzah, no. Take Meiser Rishon, but take the Trumas Meiser from elsewhere. And then all of this, what you have left, you can make Meiser Sheni. You have to make a Meiser Sheni because you don't know which is, well, you have to make a Meiser Sheni because you don't know which can be Meiser Sheni, which can't be Meiser Sheni, which, you make a Meiser Sheni means Safek, right? He makes all of Meiser Sheni and keeps it for himself, and he takes all the Meiser Rishon and Trumas Meiser from somewhere else. Okay. According to Reb Chaim, this is the end of that discussion, and Ma'anan Kayamin is a new discussion. So, of course, we're going to leave that because that's already on Daf Ayin Vav, and we got confusing enough for today.